What's up, it's your boy Mighty Cuts, and we're back with another tutorial. So we're gonna do a huge transformation on this one. Look how long his hair is. Man, it's probably been like a whole year, probably like 8 months or something. So I'm gonna go ahead and debulk the side. I'm gonna be going with my clip over comb. Just so I can kind of see what I'm working with, just to begin. The top of the hair, I already had, so I cut it with the scissors. I left this clip at the end of the video just because I guess the angle that I had the camera, it didn't really show like how much I was cutting out the top, but you are able to see all the sections that I was taking. I kind of just didn't want to start off the video with that, you know. I want my videos to be informational, so I'm gonna put what matters first, and then from there I put that clip all the way at the end. You guys can skip to that too, but just stay tapped in. So right now I'm debulking with my clip over comb. I'm just going in there, flaring out. We're gonna do, I believe it's like a mid taper. And then we're just gonna, he wants like a slick back. So I'm just going ahead and just debulking, kind of clearing all that stuff out, just so that when I start cutting, I know what I'm working with. So I'm with this one, I usually don't do this, but I'm gonna start the taper in the back. And I'm gonna go ahead and start with my guideline. Going in with my trimmers, and I'm just tapping real gently. I'm not applying no pressure, that way it doesn't get irritated. And then after that, I'm gonna follow it up by cleaning it up with the trimmers. And then I will throw the shavers under. So here comes the shavers. And remember, do not go all the way up to that guideline. That way when you are trying to blend from the no guard to the trimmers, it makes it's an easy transition. So right here I'm going with my no guard, and if you've been watching my videos, you're gonna know that I go from I go open, then I go halfway, and then I go closed. So just go ahead and pay attention to that lever right there. I'm halfway, and I'm just flicking halfway into the guideline. And the method that I'm using here, I will be fading up. I know in the other videos I had switched my method, but this one I will be fading up. Just go ahead and get the brush, you know, just keeping it clean. Now I'm gonna go with my 1.5. And with this one, I'm gonna create a little bit more of space in between there, because I'm gonna try to fit two guidelines in the middle of that. You guys are gonna see right now. So I'm gonna go with my 1.5 open. Now I'm going half right under it. Boom, you know, just flicking right under. Try not to create another guideline, because then it will take the taper a little higher. Boom. So after this, I'm gonna go in there with my 0.5 open. And this is what I mean. I was going to try to fit another guideline in between this. That way I blend from the no guard all the way to the 1.5. So I'm using the 0.5 to help me out with that. So I'm going to go open. Then I'm going to go halfway. And then I'm going to go closed again. It's the same method. Once you get it down, it's the same method for the fades, for tapers, and all that other stuff. So there we go. So now I'm closed all the way, and I'm just flicking into that guideline. Remember, you have to flick into the guideline. You got to make sure that the guard passes through the guideline so that the blade follows up and cuts it. If you're flicking before the guideline, it's not going to cut it, and you're going to be right there struggling trying to take that line out, and you're not even hitting the line. So now I'm going with my number 1 open. And remember, we got to stay below the 1.5 where we had it halfway. So just kind of flick up into that we don't create another guideline. Then to try to get that line out in between the 0.5 and the 1, we're going halfway with the number 1. Just flicking into it. And then if it doesn't come out, you can always close the number 1, or you can slap on the 0.5 and just kind of flick into it. I went ahead and just closed it. And just started flicking into it. And remember, it's a numbers game. If it's not coming out, it doesn't mean you need to start flicking up higher. You're gonna bring the taper up higher. So instead of doing that, I went ahead and just brought the guideline that's right below it, which is the 0.5. Remember, it's a numbers game. Just go to the number right below, start flicking into it, and that will start cleaning it. And you can even play with the lever too. So I'm just kind of, I guess I'm detailing as I go through the cut. And then I know for sure I'm gonna go ahead and put the number 2 on there. I'm not gonna lie, I did struggle with this taper. It's probably one of the toughest ones in like the recent tapers that I've done. Um, it's like that sometimes, you know, especially when they come in with like super long hair. Maybe you don't know what to expect, you know. Um, but I know for sure he's gonna come back and we're gonna get him right. Well, I got him right this time, but we're gonna even get even better next time as well. So I'm going in there flicking up with the number two, just trying to debulk. You know, it's a little heavy up there, and it looks dark. So now because I went in with the number two, and there's still some darknesses. There's a line in between the number two and the 1.5. I'm just followed up with the 1.5 and just kind of flick into it, just kind of hitting it with my corners. You can kind of tell it's getting a little lighter, but I'm probably gonna have to go halfway, just to kind of help out with that. And his hair, man, I don't know what it was. It's just usually my method would work right off the bat, you know, just detail a little bit. But his hair, like, it's not that it's thin, but it's so fine that you're able to see any little discrepancy. So you really have to fade it all the way through. Um, as you can see, there's still a little line there, so I'm just gonna have to keep playing with the lever, and I know I'm even gonna come with the number one just to follow it up. There you go. Because usually I shouldn't have to do this much, but in this one I did have to. Boom, boom, boom. Do with the number one, just kind of to you know that out. Then I'm gonna go back with the 1.5. Now I'm like, all right, let me start fading back up again, trying to just debulk it, because there's a little line right there. I don't know if you see behind the ear now that we created when I went under with my number two. So I'm like, man, let me just not mess with it right now. Let me just go straight to the clip over comb. Just debulk it, you know, that way I'm able to see a little bit more. Try not to stay stuck in one area. Just keep it moving. And then as you start cleaning it up, you'll start taking it out. And I'm being careful, and I'm getting all the bulk up top. That way it looks a little softer. And that can help with the gradients as well too sometimes. So I'm gonna go in there with the number two. I believe it helps a little bit. If I'm not mistaken, after this, I know for sure I'm just gonna kind of just let it be, and then I'm gonna go to line up the side of that taper. But I followed it up with the 1.5. As you can see, that line kind of came out a little bit more. And then also now remember he did have a hat on, so it might be also because the hat was flat right. His hair was flat right there, but it's okay. You know, nothing we can't handle. I'm gonna still go back in there and I'm gonna do my method. I'm gonna do my method. We're gonna do it up and we're gonna get it right. That's what we do around here. You know, you just gotta remain patient. Trust the process. Like I said, it's a numbers game. Just go back down to that process and it's gonna come. So like I said, I went to lining it up. You see, when you line it up, more discrepancy, kind of where you need, it just pops out where you need to clean it up. So I'm like, let me just go ahead and line it up. It probably helped me out a little bit more. That way I could go back into with my process and just start cleaning it up a bit. So just kind of put a little line. And I'm like, let me just go to this side real quick. And I will clean it up more towards the end. So with the side taper, this is a mid taper. I mean, I could have slanted it a little bit more. I get that a little straight, just because I know I didn't have that much space to work with the taper in that area, just because of the shape of his head and all that stuff. And that's something you have to start learning as you start cutting your clients. You know, some people have more areas, some people don't. So I'm going in there again with my no guard open. That was halfway, and now I'm closed. You know, flicking in. Notice I'm using my corners in these small areas. So now that's the 0.5, 0.5. Flicking up, open. Halfway. And then close all the way. And like I said, guys, try to watch the video once. Listen to what I'm saying, and then if you can, watch it again and just pay attention to the lever, like how I'm moving with my machine. That way you guys also get just grasp how fast I'm moving that lever. You know, I'm not staying in one in trying to take out one guideline. I'm not just there staying there. I'm moving. I'm just kind of going with the flow. I'm not worried about, oh, is it blending already? Is it not blending? I'm just going with the flow. I know I went a little rant there, but what happened was I went with my 1.5 open, went halfway, and then I followed it up with my number 1 open, and now I'm halfway. You see how right here it blended a little easier? So now we're just going to slap that number 2 on there, and let's see what happens. You guys might learn something right now. You guys are going to learn maybe a little mistake I probably did, but it's okay. It's not that bad. So I'm flicking up with my number 2. I'm going in there thinking I'm about to be done with this side. So I'm cleaning it. I'm gonna let me just flick a little bit more. Looks a little too bulky. And right about there, I'm like, don't look that bad. Let me just keep flicking up into it. But then I think what happened is I'm gonna follow it up, I think with my 1.5. But we're gonna see right now. We're gonna learn today. So boom. So then I followed it up with my 1.5. I don't think it was really necessary. I probably could have just gone clip over comb and cleaned it. Man, I don't know. This was my first cut of the day. Like I said, I feel like I could have done way better on this cut. It still came out clean. But I'm going to still post this video because I'm going to post whether it's my good video, bad. It's not even a bad video. It's just a video where we're going to learn together. And if this was to ever happen to you guys will definitely be able to bounce back from it. So I'm going over with my clip rubber comb. Get all the darknesses out the top. That way it don't look too bulky. Even though, I mean, some people do like that bulk right there. So boom. Just clean it up. So from this side, we can see we can start seeing a shape to this haircut a little bit. The blend, we're still trying to work on that. So then I go back into with my number 2. As you can see, I'm going a little higher now. And I believe I start pushing this taper a little higher than what I thought it was going to be. But that's okay. Look at where I'm at with my 1.5 now. I'm way up there. I should not be touching up there. Boom. That's what happens. Picked up the fade. Now there's a huge discrepancy in between the 1.5 and the number 1. And I didn't notice it until I started lining it up and I look and I'm like, okay, I'm going to just have to lift up the whole taper. I'm going to go back in there, have to do the 1.5, lift the guideline all the way up. Because you can see it looks a little lighter just right below that number 2. And then there's just a huge gap right there of like everything all one number. So that's another thing when you're doing a fade. You need to know your spacing. You need to create a certain a blend within a certain amount of space. If you space it out too much, that blend is not going to look as blurry. So I'm there, going back, clip over comb, and I'm doing this voiceover, and I'm just looking, and I'm like, man, I'm such a man. I didn't have to do all this. I think I was doing too much. I don't know. I wish I could go right there back in time, and I didn't have to do this much, you know. So now that taper is all the way lifted. Look at that. Oh my God. Boom. So that's when I realized, yup, I'm going to have to bring this up higher. Basically, where I was hitting it with the 1.5, now I'm hitting it with the 0.5. Saw how I brought this up a little bit more. And as you can see, as I'm bringing it higher, I mean, it's blending a little better. I'm going to have to bring the number 1 higher. Just so that creates a smoother transition. So now it's not looking as bad. But it could have been better. But if this was to ever happen to you guys, just feel like you guys brought it up a little too high. Just go back in there. Don't panic. As a barber, it's always our job to make that blend look better, you know. Bring it up higher. All right, we just got to fix it. We just got to make it into, you know, we just got to know what we're working with. So I brought it up a little higher. That way it goes from a blend to the darkness. That way it blends into the darkness, which is, that way the fade looks a little blurry. And in school terms, they would call it gradient. But let's just keep it going, guys. We're here to learn together. And let me know what you guys think in the comments as well. Look at this guy looking at himself. So then that was this side of the taper. I don't know if you guys got to see it. Now I'm just doing all the little blade work, touching it up. That's the back taper right there. It's decent. And then this side of the taper, decent too. If I could rate myself, give it a 7 out of 10. Didn't feel like it was a 10 out of 10, but for sure when he comes back next time, we're gonna get it down. I mean, and it's always gonna happen, you know. As a barber, you know, you're cutting every day, doing all the haircuts. Some haircuts might slip under where like you don't feel like, well, you gave it your best with what you were working with at the time, and the result that you could give in the moment, but you felt like if he were to come back, you could do better. There's gonna be those moments. Don't get discouraged. We have our good days, we have our bad days, you know, and that's just how it is. I felt like this one wasn't my best work, but I'm still gonna post it because I definitely learned from it. Especially now that I'm doing this voiceover, I definitely learned from it. And as a barber, man, I've only been cutting for seriously. I've only been cutting for a little bit over 2 years, but since I touched clippers, I've been cutting probably for like 5 years. The first 2 years, it was just me cutting my own hair, and cutting my friend's hair. These last 2.5 years, I've been taking it more serious. But man, don't get discouraged. I mean, there's gonna be those good and bad days, and like what I was going with that point is, I wanted to say how long I've been cutting is. You're never gonna stop learning. I don't care if I've been cutting for 10, 15 years. I've talked to barbers that have been cutting for 10, 15 years. They also don't stop learning. You know, there's always something new, in this industry, and that's what's so cool about this industry. There's new trends, new haircuts, and as you're going, you're always learning something. You know.